Hey, and welcome to ClutterStuff. This is NerdNotes for the week ending June 6th, 2015. There's two things that I want to discuss, but I also want to announce a contest that I'm going to do. It's just going to be something fun. And if you don't want to watch the whole video, I'll put a link down in the description box so that you can just skip right over to the end, to where the contest rules begin. I will say there's going to be some spoilers in what we talk about today. It's going to be two subjects. I want to talk about the upcoming all new, all different Marvel that was announced this week, and just briefly mention something happening in the world of Star Wars. So, let's start with Star Wars and just get that out of the way. Again, this is spoilers. If you don't want to know, go ahead and skip to the next subject. But in Star Wars, I believe it was issue number 6 this week, they revealed that Han Solo was married to Sana Solo. I haven't read the issue, and quite frankly, we don't know where this part of the story is headed. So, I'm not going to freak out about it like I've seen some people freaking out about it. I'm not going to do that. We don't know where the story is going to head. At the end of Star Wars, Han Solo was just, a smuggler, who had kind of linked up with the rebellion. Not really. He was really, there wasn't really anything. He wasn't political or anything like that at that point, at the end of Star Wars. And that's when these comics are set. It wasn't until later, we don't know how much time was in between Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. We kind of assume, based on the old canon, how long it was, but we don't really know. I don't believe that it was, and I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe it was really stated in Empire Strikes Back how long had passed since the Battle of Yavin. So, we don't know how much time there is in between here. All of the expanded universe was stricken from the record. So, these comics now are part of the official canon. And, whatever is happening right now will be resolved before they get to the Battle of Hoth, before they get to the events of Empire Strikes Back. Something obviously changes. He wasn't married, presumably, during Empire Strikes Back. So we'll just wait and see what happens. But people who are getting angry about this, calm down and wait and see. More exciting to me, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan, of course, but I'm not the type to. I follow the story. I don't really have an opinion on it other than I love Star Wars. I was a little disappointed when the old expanded universe went away, but can't do anything about that. I've still got 40 novels and a box full of comics that I can read at my leisure. So with the all new, all different Marvel, if you're reading Secret Wars, you know that and if you're not, here's a brief summary. All the different universes that have kind of existed separately in the Marvel universe. You had the original Marvel universe, which I think is what designates 616. You have the Ultimate Universe. You had the Marvel Zombies universe. All of these different universes from What If. There's the 1602 or whatever. I mean, there's all these different universes and all of these different alternate universes that have all existed, and And basically, what's been going on over the last few months leading into Secret Wars is that uh, these universes have collided and been destroyed. All up until when Secret Wars started, the only universes left were the regular Marvel universe, the one that started back with the Fantastic Four in 1961, and you have the Ultimate Universe. And those are the last two to collide. When they collide, the heroes, they're in Secret Wars #1. There's this huge battle between the heroes of the regular universe and the Ultimate Universe, and each of them is trying to survive, save their whole universes. Um, I missed #2. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to read #2 because it sold out before I got to the comic store, and I haven't ordered it online yet. But I have read #3, and basically what happens is that somehow, probably within #2, a new universe is created, and Doctor Doom is God, and he's not the same evil Doctor Doom because he was always after power, and as God he has the power, so he's actually a pretty benevolent God. Um, and he has created this patchwork planet of the remnants of all of these different universes, which is known as Battle World. And there are all of these little tie-in stories are different areas and different pieces of Battle World. You've got one where the Maestro reigns as Baron of this section in the Future Imperfect tie-in, and you've got one where A-Force rules. I think is it called Arcadia? It starts with an A. I might be getting that wrong, but that's another little place. And all of these tie-ins and Secret Wars, everything's going to come to a head at some point. We've got 5 more issues, I guess, of the main Secret Wars title. And we have dozens of tie-ins, and everything's going to come to a head by the end of summer. This fall, they are starting the all-new, all-different Marvel, and it is changing everything. The heroes that we've come to know and love, almost all of them are going to be changed in some way. And some of them are going to be gone. Some of them will not make it to the end of Secret Wars. Others will. There are other major changes that are going to happen. And then the all-new, all-different Marvel, every comic in the Marvel Universe is going to be, I'm not going to use the word reboot because the editor-in-chief in the interviews that he's done over the past week has been very clear that nothing's being rebooted. Everything is within the same continuity. There's the history that started with the original Marvel Universe is just simply continuing on. It hit Secret Wars, all of these universes collided, and then with all new, all different Marvel, that same continuity is just continuing on. So it's not a reboot, but the comics are all being reset, shall we say. All of them are going back to #1. Another interesting comment that he's made is that he said that comic books are going to move in the direction of a seasonal model, the way TV shows do, where you have a season that kind of begins, storylines play out and then they end. And of course, some storylines, continue across multiple seasons. Others are just from the beginning to the end of that season. But there's that season premiere is always a good place to jump in if you have if you've never seen the show before. And the season finale is always something big. He said that the comic books are moving in that direction, and that's where he's going to be taking them with the all-new, all-different Marvel. So I want to talk a little bit about these teaser pictures. You know, first let me back to the all the all new number ones. Every comic's being reset. Every comic is going to have a new number one, and I'm sure just because of how big they seem to be, that they're all going to have variant covers and that sort of thing. What I don't want to see is Marvel do what they did, in the mid '90s, that almost, to a certain extent, almost put the company out of business, where there were so many people buying comic books as investments. Everybody was going and getting 5, 10 copies of all of these number ones. The one that really sticks in my mind, and I always bring it up, and to me it's the perfect example of just a horror, just what that time had been like for comic collectors, is X-Force number one. The X-Force number one, every issue was pre-poly bagged with a collector's card inside of it, and they printed a few million of them to accommodate the demand that they expected from people going out and buying all these issues, and they sold. I mean, people were buying 4 or 5 copies of them, and they're pre-poly bags, so no one was actually reading them. Uh, you know, and to me, basically what ended up happening is the secondary market was non-existent. They never went up in value. I was actually at an antique store a couple weeks ago, where I bought a few comics. I mentioned those in one of my other videos, the comics that I picked up. And while I was there, I just out of curiosity, I mean, it wasn't a comic focused store. It wasn't a specialty store. It was, there was probably only maybe 100 or 200 comics grand total in the entire thing, and there were at least 4 or 5 copies of X-Force number one. And they were selling for $1 each. You know, what Marvel expected, and what all those investors expected, was that this comic was, it's a new mutant book, it's a new, X-Men related property. It had some hot artists on it. It was number one. It was the debut of a new team. All the signs pointed to this being a hot book. And it was when it was new, because everyone ran out and bought 4 or 5 copies. But because everyone went out and bought 4 or 5 copies, there was no one left to buy them. It was not rare. The supply far exceeded the demand ultimately, and when that happens, you have no value. So, it almost, to a certain extent, kind of crashed the secondary market for a lot of titles. They couldn't do that anymore. Which then, of course, leads me to about 5 years later, or 6 years later, when they did something that is very similar to what they're doing here with Secret Wars, and hopefully they're not going to. I think that what they're doing is trying to avoid what they did with the Onslaught and the Heroes Reborn. Onslaught was a mutant who basically, for all intents and purposes, wiped out the Marvel Universe, and some of the heroes. I think it was Captain America, Iron Man, Avengers, Fantastic Four. They were basically rebooted in these new universes. It's called Heroes Reborn, and then a couple of months later, I guess they weren't as hot as Marvel had hoped, and I don't know if this was the plan from the get-go, but whatever happened, they were able to defeat Onslaught, and they were able to return the heroes back into the regular universe, called Heroes Return, and the whole Heroes Reborn thing was abandoned completely, never to be spoken of again. So hopefully that's not what we're talking about here with the all new, all different Marvel. All right, and so the images. Let me show you the trailer image, the teaser images. The first one is pretty standard. It's a bunch of guys that we already know. It's Iron Man front and center. Got uh, the female Thor, so they're not returning to Odinson or anything like that. They're sticking with the Jane Foster Thor. We have Sam Wilson's Captain America, as well as an older Steve Rogers Captain America. So, both of them have a place in the new Marvel. You have the red and blue Spider-Man, who I'm going to assume is Peter Parker, but he's costumed, so we don't know for sure. And we have another Spider-Man that looks like the Miles Morales Ultimate Spider-Man. Again, he's costumed, so we don't know for sure. You also have a couple of other players from that universe in Spider-Gwen and Spider-Woman. So, that's pretty cool. It looks like that, they're not keeping the entire Spideyverse, but they're keeping a few parts of it. Vision is there in the photo, Ant-Man, Phil Coulson, Black Panther, so obviously, all of those are major parts of the movies, of the upcoming movies. Miss Marvel is another, or excuse me, I don't know, is that Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel? I'm not sure. And then you also have another hero that hasn't really been seen much since the 70s, but apparently he comes into play during Secret Wars and will be playing a larger role, which is Red Wolf. He's a Native American hero from the 19th century. Takes place in the 19th century, but I'm not sure if that means he's going to be coming into the future or what's going on with that. But he is in this image. The second image has a lot more changes. Again, Iron Man is there. I'm not sure whether it's the same Iron Man. I don't know if this is Tony Stark or what's going on. Obviously, he's in his armor, so you don't know. You have Doctor Strange, Daredevil, several members of the Guardians of the Galaxy. You have got Star-Lord, Rocket Raccoon, and probably what's one of the big changes and most interesting is the Thing. Ben Grimm from the Fantastic Four is in a Guardians of the Galaxy uniform. You'll remember from the origin of the Fantastic Four that Ben was an astronaut. He was a pilot. So putting him out into space makes sense, and that looks like that's what Marvel's going to do. The Human Torch is also there. I believe it's the Human Torch. It's somebody on fire. I'll put it that way. So whether that's Johnny Storm or not, can't be known for sure. But I kind of wonder is he also going to the Guardians of the Galaxy? Standing, and this is probably just a matter of positioning in the image, but standing right in between the two of them is Doctor Doom in street clothes. Doesn't look like a king, definitely doesn't look like a god. But you kind of have to wonder. In Secret Wars, Doom is not necessarily a bad guy anymore. So you kind of have to wonder what's going to happen with him. Let's see. I think that I'm not sure who that is. But another real interesting thing is that you have Old Man Logan, and next to him is X-23 in the original Wolverine uniform, the blue and yellow costume. So there's a new Wolverine. It's not Logan. Logan's still around, just like Steve Rogers. He's older, but he's still around, and we'll see how they handle that. And there's a few other characters. Medusa from the Inhumans. There's a character who I'm not real sure who he is, but from what I've been reading, it looks like his name is Captain Ultra, and he's with the Thunderbolts. But I've never read that. I'm not sure about anything about that, so I can't really comment much on it. And then it looks very interesting. Obviously like I said, they have something like 60 titles or so that are going to be launching with new number ones sometime this fall. You know, they're staggering it out over a couple of months, but so this obviously is not all of the characters. It's not everybody that's going to be involved. One thing that has come out is that there will be a new Hulk. It will not be Bruce Banner, from what I understand. If I'm understanding what I'm reading right, obviously they don't want to blow everything, but I'm sure that, you know, the events of Future Imperfect and Planet Hulk, the two tie-ins with Secret Wars, I'm sure that they will be informative. So now that the video is extremely long, I'm going to go ahead and just jump now and talk about the contest. The reason I'm doing this contest is to try to promote my video channel and my blog, ClutterStuff. I would want to get a little bit of exposure, hopefully get some new audiences, and even to a certain extent also find out, you know, what my audience likes. You know, I know what I like, and that's probably most of what I'm going to continue to write about and talk about. It's just stuff that I like. But, you know, I also would like to be exposed to new things as well. And hopefully other people can be exposed to me and my video channel and my blog. So the contest is this. I'd like you can either, either format is acceptable as an entry. Either a video on YouTube or a blog post. If you want to do both, feel free to do both. And the contest entry, first of all, you have to either, if you, I would prefer it if you would subscribe to both my channel and my blog. But if you know, one or the other is fine. Just let me know, you know, you would have to include a link back to the blog or the video channel, and whether you do a video or a blog, what I want you to talk about is I would love it if you would obviously, you know, mention it. I would like the name ClutterStuff in the title of the either blog post or video. You know, put ClutterStuff contest, ClutterStuff giveaway entry, you know, something like that. I'll give you the creative license to say what you want. You know, I won't dictate it too much. But I also want you to basically tell me about something you like in the realm of, you know, a comic book, movie, TV show, something science fiction or comic book. You know, it can be any type of comic book. Just whatever your favorite is, you know, TV show, you know, it could be adventure, horror, it doesn't really matter. But tell me about something that you like, that you know, comic you think is the best, a movie you think is the best, and tell me why you like it. Preferably if it's you know, it'll be something relatively new that I haven't heard of, or that I might not have heard of. Although that's, you know, honestly going to be a bit tough. So don't stress yourself out about it. Just whatever it is that you like, your favorite thing in those areas, and just tell me what it is, why you love it, and I will do a random draw of all of the entries, and the prize, this is the main prize. There will be other things stuck in there. This is the Tales of the Jedi, Knights of the Old Republic collection, trade paperback. It was published in 1994. It has been read. It's not, you know, a pristine mint copy, but it's in good shape. You can see it's not beaten up and battered. The spine is still intact. I'm very careful with books in general. But, you know, there's a little bit of, you know, damage there on the corners. Nothing major, but just, you know, from it's a 20-year-old book. It was $14.95 when it was published. I'm not sure what the current value is, but this is a first printing. It was Dark Horse Comics, and this collects the first 5 issues of Tales of the Jedi, published by Dark Horse Comics. It's a first edition, first printing. It's interesting. So this will be the main prize of the giveaway. There will be other things in here with it. I can promise you that. Possibly Star Wars related, possibly related to other things, you know. But, so anyway, yeah, hopefully, you know, if you have any questions or anything like that, you can either post a comment. This video will be published on both the ClutterStuff blog and the YouTube channel. So if you have any questions, if I didn't explain that adequately, just let me know, and I will try to do my best. I will respond immediately and try to clarify that for you. So I look forward to seeing your entries, and you know, also feel free to share this on all of your social media. This video, you know, I'm really would like to reach as many people as possible. So thanks a lot, and good night. See you soon.